Hey there, it's Bill DeWeese, pro voiceover talent and voiceover career coach. If you've been around for a while, you might be familiar with the old NASA Apollo program. And if you were like me, you would love to watch the liftoff and the landing of the Apollo capsule. And I was always fascinated by the landing of the capsule because what would happen, and by the way, if you're too young to remember this, you didn't see it on TV, you can just look it up on YouTube and watch this. It is pretty fascinating. This little capsule would essentially it would allow gravity to pull it back down to Earth. There were no jet engines to help, steer it or to land it on ground. The idea was that it would just land, it would come through, gravity would pull it down, it would hit the Pacific Ocean, the big splash. Of course, it would have parachutes to help soften the impact, and then they would be picked up by helicopter. But as the capsule would hit the atmosphere and hit the air, what would happen, it would turn into this bright red and orange and yellow, what looked like a ball of fire. And of course, it had a heat shield as it came down toward the Earth, which would help to protect it against this immense heat. But as it hit the air, that friction would happen, and it would be this immense, what looked like a ball of fire. But then there would be this phenomenon known as radio silence. There was a period of time, and this happened with every Apollo landing, that a period of time through the atmosphere where there was no radio contact between the capsule and between mission control in Houston. And so it lasted, it seems to me, I could be wrong on the exact time, but it was around 2 minutes long. And they knew it was coming, and so during those 2 minutes, you would hope and pray and watch the sky or watch the television set and hope that the Apollo capsule would appear on the other side of radio silence and that it wouldn't have disintegrated into bits in the air and that the astronauts were fine and okay. But we all kind of collectively held our breath and prayed while we waited for that capsule to regain radio contact again with mission control. Launching a voiceover career can be a little bit like experiencing radio silence early on. Last week I was talking with one of my students who's just now getting his voiceover career launched. He's in my private coaching program, my voiceover blueprint program, which you may have heard of, and he's doing great in that. He's going through the curriculum. He's actively involved in the live coaching sessions. He hired me to produce his pro demo. He has he set up a great home studio, has great sounding audio. He's done everything right. And as you would expect, what happened, he's been booking some work. And so he's been working, but he's very early on and it has not become a full-time income yet. And so it can feel like, well, I've done everything right. I'm doing everything I should be doing. Why am I not working more? Well, we could use a number of analogies, but essentially what you're doing, you're sowing seed during that time. You're doing the marketing, you're making the contacts, you've done everything right, and you continue to do everything right. But there's going to be this period of radio silence where not a lot happens. Yeah, you'll be working and you'll be getting some periodic jobs, but what happens on the other side of this radio silence? And usually the radio silence, actually even shouldn't say silence because it's not complete silence. It's just you're not working as much as you would want to be working. It's not full time yet. That will take several months to do that. And for some people, it's shorter. For some people, it's a little bit longer. But don't expect to hang your shingle that says I'm a voiceover talent and that people will line up the next day. And then all of a sudden you're in business and you're making a full-time living in voiceover. It doesn't happen that way in any business that I'm aware of. You have to anticipate radio silence because if you don't, and if your expectations are otherwise, you will get discouraged. And like many people, you will quit. So you've got to do everything right up front. Just like, this student has with the training and the demo, the great sounding audio, and he's doing everything right and he's getting work. But what's going to happen, and this is what we talked about, that very soon what's going to happen is all of a sudden he will see that traction grab hold and he'll begin to get a few more jobs a week and then a few more, and then he'll be getting higher paying jobs. And then all of a sudden you have this momentum that literally you couldn't stop if you wanted to. I remember getting to that place and wanting to take some time off and then realizing, oh my gosh, I've got clients that keep coming. I mean, they need work done. And and I remember it was crazy, even on times that times and weeks that I would take time off to take usually I take mini vacations. I don't take off usually a whole week or so at a time. That there was always work to be done before I left and work to be done when I got back. And that it rarely actually hurt my income, that there was, I could catch up when I got back from my trip. Point being, that early on, again, you're gaining that momentum. It seems like radio silence, but there are things happening if you're doing things properly. But on the other side of that silence, you've got traction, you've got momentum that continues to roll. So my message is, expect that in the beginning, it's not going to just all of a sudden unfold and then, you're making full-time income quickly. It takes a little bit of time. Give it several months for things to really catch, but do all the right things to make that happen. And so if you want to learn more about how to do that, I invite you to find out more about the Blueprint, VoiceOver Blueprint program below. I'm going to put a link in this below the video where you can actually schedule a phone call if you want to learn more about it. But you have to do all the right things, take the right steps, implement the right strategies. If you do that, even though you do experience some radio silence early on, you will come out on the other end and things will catch and you'll gain momentum and things will happen. So I encourage you to hang in there and just keep doing the right things. Thanks for checking out this video. I hope you'll like, share, subscribe, and I look forward to talking to you soon.